Alrighty, traders, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, and welcome to another session here with the three amigos, Chris, Tyson, and myself. And we go ahead and take a look at the trade opportunities. This is the investment draft, the weekly investment draft we do every Monday, and we talk about stocks, cryptos, and currencies, and what's moving this week, so we can go ahead and pay attention to them, so make the or at least take advantage of the best opportunities for the week. With that being said, traders, we've got a lot to talk about once again, like every week. And we're going to go ahead and jump into the details. Now, before we do, I want to go ahead and remind everyone, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. So when we go live, you get to know about it. But also, more importantly, traders, very, very importantly, smash the like button. This is how we get this video out to as many traders as possible, because we love to share the love and show them exactly what we do here inside our own trading, call it our own trading environment, and how we address certain currency pairs, stocks, and, of course, cryptos, how we address them for trading opportunities, whether it's going to be on technical or fundamental. We'll talk about that in today's session. So with that being said, let me go ahead and introduce the panel. As usual, the three amigos. We've got Chris, and we've got Tyson. Good afternoon, guys. How you guys doing?
Doing well. Nice to be here, everybody. Happy Monday.
Yeah, it's good to be back. It's been a couple weeks since we've all three been together. Yeah, it's good to be back. A lot of opportunity. I got to tell you, a lot of exciting things happening today. We always have a lot of good opportunities, but I really encourage everybody out there, take some notes on today's session, because we've got some basket trades and currencies. We've got a phenomenal stock trade that we're going to try to own 10% lower. And if it doesn't go 10% lower, we're still going to make money. Wow, how is that possible? Talk about that today. And Bitcoin ETF. There's something really, really cool happening with Bitcoin that is going to maybe be an absolute amazing wealth maker. So we'll talk about
futures ETFs, not just ETFs, but future ETFs.
That's actually part of the reason why I want to talk about it, because it's super interesting the way that they're structured.
Awesome. Yeah. Very cool. Very excellent. Yep. All right. Well, just Chris, sorry, not Chris, but Tyson. Tyson, you got me excited about now what you're going to talk about in the stocks right now. So I'm not going to even go and say, hey, let's talk about something else first. Let's jump into stocks. Tell us exactly what it is that we have to get excited about right now about the stock.
Yeah, so the more and more I think about it, it's easy. It's so easy, and I've been caught in this mentality before, where I find it very difficult to buy stuff when it's high, buy stuff when it's really, really hot. The stock market, real estate, whatever it might be. I'm in the process of my wife and I are in the process of building a home. I know Chris is doing that and is moving into his new home, and I'm like, oh man, did we just buy at the high? The more I think about it, the more I'm just a long-term bull on real estate. I think we're going to slow down, but I'm just a long-term bull overall on real estate. And one of the most dominant companies within the real estate business, beyond like a home builder or anything like that, or a mortgage lender, is Zillow. Zillow provides a lot of, they're actually becoming, they own a lot of assets with the houses that they're purchasing. But they're also a very big lead generator for realtors and all that. So Zillow Group is a stock that I like. The fundamentals are really strong, Gary. So when we're trading stocks, what we want to do is we want to combine really nice technicals with fundamentals. And sometimes at long term, the fundamentals are more important than the technicals long term. Technicals are great to get in at a good price, but fundamentally speaking, this is a really strong stock. We're talking about a forecasted projected annual revenue growth rate of like 70% for the next 5 years. That's what they're forecasting, which basically means this company could be earning $8 to $10 per share in 5 years. And if it grows like that, it should demand like a 25 or 30 times multiple. This could be a $300, $400 stock in 5 years. And so I really like the level right now. I'm not saying it's going to get up there. I think it was overdone at 200. I think it was even overdone at 150, even 100. Right now, I like it. It's been beat up. It's getting beat up today because they came out and said, hey, they're going to slow down on their purchasing of their homes. I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing. They got earnings coming up, and when is their earnings? On the 8th. Well, anywhere from the 4th to the 8th of November. So what I want to do is I want to play, we took this trade in equities on demand. I want to look for opportunities to buy it. I like the level right now. I'd actually be willing to buy right here. But what we try to do in equities on demand is we always try to figure out, like, how can we own something lower? How can we make money? If I just buy the stock right now and if it goes down, I lose money, right? So how can I make money up, down, or sideways? And so what we did, Gary, is we actually structured a position. We used options. I went out to November 12th, and just a brief overview. I'm not going to go into a ton of details on the trade, but I sold the $80 put, the November 12th $80 put. At the same time, I did what's called a bear call spread by the 80 by 81 bear call spread. And so it's a fairly conservative play. What I did is I brought in $3.66 of credit. So I'm like the insurance guy, right? So I get paid right away. Just like you have to pay your insurance bill right away. Even if your house doesn't, burn down, you still pay your insurance. So I collect that money right away. And here's the way it works. If the price is above $80, or let's say $81 by expiration, then my trade makes $2.66. So I'm making like almost 3.5% if the price doesn't fall. The price could even fall from current levels, fall 13% from current levels, Gary, and I still make money. So, and what's nice about this is if the stock does fall 13%, I want to own it. That's a level that I actually really, really want to own. So I'll own the stock at $76.34. So in my case, from my viewpoint, this is a win-win scenario, right? So I either own it exactly where I want to own it, which is right around that $76 level, or I make money if it doesn't get down there. So we try to make money up, down, and sideways. Zillow is a great stock to be able to do that right now. And it's got a catalyst coming up, earnings. And so that helps us make even more money with the options. So I know Chris liked the trade too. And this is one, I think, Chris, did you end up getting filled in it? I know you were looking to do it a little bit different.
Yeah, I did a little bit different for just a slightly lower ownership level and played it a bit more conservatively. I didn't get filled on it this morning, but I still have it good till canceled. So I'm going to keep an eye on that one for, really this week. I mean, we had this one, my expiration was out to the 12th. So we're taking in that earnings window and going out to the 12th of November. So hopefully, we had a pretty aggressive push down today. It was down like 10% at the lows. Yep. And if we come down and retest those lows, I feel like I should be able to get filled at that level where I'm looking for like $5.50 of credit. And my ownership level would be like below $70. So I'm looking at like as low as possible on Zillow. But as we broke it down this morning in class, it is a great setup. I love it. It's a great trade. Also, Tyson, I was looking into some grocery store chains afterwards, looking at like Kroger and Albertsons. Same thing. Like they're cheaper. It's not a real estate play, but just like right now, it's like I know we have something going on. Discretionary, we had this play. It was a pairs trade. We did like what was it? We did discretionary. We were doing some bear call spreads on discretionaries, and then doing long bull put spreads on what was it? Basic materials, staples.
Yep.
So that's I was looking at grocery stores like Albertsons is one, Kroger's another one, Costco. Yep. I was just looking at Kroger. Costco's at like crazy high, still like $400 and some, $450. But Albertsons has 20 different brands, and Kroger has a bunch of different brands. And look, I mean, even though grocery stores aren't high margin, it's high volume, and ultimately like they're going to pass on whatever cost to the consumer, and people are still going to have to eat. People are still going to go to the grocery store. So they're healthy. They're healthy financially. They offer decent dividends, 2% or better, and they're actually at a decent price. Like we've the last probably month or two, actually this month especially, we started to position our equities on demand trading room around these long-term plays, and we're really taking advantage of these near-term options and companies that we really like. I mean, you're doing an awesome example right now, showing traders with like $10,000. We have, what's our total, Tyson? With like a $10,000 account, we have roughly 10 stocks, right? Like
yeah, actually we're
about
13 right now.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, which is pretty awesome. And if everything closes the way it should, the returns on those 13, like right now, we just managed a trade in MARA and SoFi, SOFI, where it's a guaranteed win now. Whether it keeps going up or down, we've locked in a guaranteed win. And a lot of these, Citi, we could do the same thing in Citigroup. We've been in that for 2 weeks. AT&T is the only one out of the 13 that's slightly down. But the nice thing is, even if it's down, we have plans on over time managing our way out of the trade. And so, what we're doing is we're using like an example, $10,000. We're taking all these live example, like $10,000 worth of margin. And I'm really trying to be really strict around that and make sure that I don't, because it's easy for me. I've got more money in my account. It's easy for me to be like, oh, I'll just add more and I'll add more. But I want to make sure that the students can really like, hey, if you have $10,000, you can actually do this. And yeah, we're doing really well. The strategy's performing. It's not one of those strategies that's going to turn a $10,000 account into $50,000 in the next year. It is one of those strategies that will turn 10,000, that could turn 10,000 into 14,000, and then 14,000 into 19,000. You know, it's a slow. That's not even slow growth. That's great growth, but it's not like some of the big massive moves we can get. It's a little less speculative, but it's still a nice way to generate. Heck, if I can make 40%, make an extra $400 a month on something like this, and just compound it, that's pretty good.
Absolutely. So never a dull moment, Gary.
Yeah.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. And by the way, traders, for those that are watching right now that haven't been inside Chris and Tyson's trading rooms, nor have they been inside the stocks and options trading rooms, you definitely want to go ahead and get connected. Contact your account rep. Find out how you can get into their trading rooms when they talk about these trading opportunities. And if you don't understand what they're talking about, specifically what Tyson's saying, because sometimes it sounds like gibberish, like, hey, you're buying a call put here and I'm looking for to trade lower and own it, and own the stock, or even go ahead and pay insurance on the stock, or whatever it is. If you want to know all of that gibberish and make sense of it, that it actually becomes an opportunity for you.
Earnings Jade Lizard Cyclone strategy. Just let me know.
There you go.
Stop. Too much information. Yeah, but if you want to know all about that stuff, get into the trading rooms. Tyson and Chris are teaching some great stuff about trading opportunities in the stocks field. So make sure you guys get involved in that. With that being said, guys, let's go ahead and switch over and talk about currencies right now. Now, we've got a couple of currencies that we're going to talk about. I know that Chris has got a couple. Tyson's got a couple. I've got a couple that we're going to talk about. So let's go jump into the first one, Chris. Let's go jump into a currency pair that you focus in on right now. And then we're going to go to something else as well. But let's go talk about your currency pair right now of the week.
Sure. So my favorite pick of the week is the Eurocad. I'm in the trade right now. I've got actually my Perfect Storm Pro that's already in a couple of trades. I started to add near these lows from last week's pushes, and kind of anticipating a retracement going into this week's trading. So when I take a look at the Eurocad, right now, Gary, actually one of my best setups on Eurocad is just simply, we have a great pivot alignment. We have 3 missed weekly targets in a row. We got a monthly target. We've got past support all the way back up to 4,600 and 4,610. We also have an amazing bar count on my RightTrader charts, which, usually we see bar, extensions where we have these kind of unbalanced trends or, periods that will last 200 bars, 250 bars. The Eurocad right now is sitting at, I'm measuring this out, we're at 430 bars, and that's hasn't touched anything. So, we were almost joking about this for the last 2 weeks in the Flex trading room, because I'm like, we had 16 of 17 candles or 16 of 18 candles all bearish in a row. So we've hit oversold conditions. We're starting to see lots of divergence on multiple time frames. I think at the very least we have a correction coming back towards 4,500. I think a great spot to be out would be between 4,550 and 4,600. So I am starting to position myself now. A very near-term target, like I said, 4,450 to 4,500. Anything higher than that, I'm looking to scalp my way up towards those levels this week. And then I'm still going to maintain an overall position. I think that everything we're talking about with the CAD or the CAD basket, looking for CAD weakness, is going to be a short-term play with oil. So I'm still waiting for better confirmation to confirm that oil is in fact going to start dropping a little bit. We're at highs at $82, $83 right now. I could see the CAD correlating with that nicely. I could see oil dropping back into the low 70s, maybe lower. But I think any type of flinch on oil right now is really going to send the CAD basket to much weaker. So my favorite plays right now, I like pound CAD at the current levels. I like Eurocad. I think this week traders could probably grab a pretty straightforward 50 to 100 pips, if not more, because you can always put in a trailing stop loss and let it run. But I really like Eurocad long north towards 4,450 to 4,500 this week. If it goes up higher, ideally I'd be out of the trade altogether at 4,600. So that's one of my favorite Forex pairs this week.
Yeah, so let's stick, before we move into Tyson's pair, let's just stay with this at the moment right now, because I think it does affect a lot of the crosses that are traded against the Canadian dollar, right? Mm-hmm. And that is the big elephant in the middle of the lounge, call it, is the is the Canadian, or this US oil. Now, if I go to the chart, let's go to US oil right here. If I look at US oil, and just so that you know, Chris, I have been talking about this as well last week. Been talking about correction last week. I've been talking about it this week in the trading rooms. And looking at US oil, you can see right here we had a nice little swing going up. We had a pullback, wave 2. Wave 3 is up here. We had a shallow wave 4 pullback. We're right at the 1.27. So just a quick explanation to those watching right now. When the market moves in these cycles, what we tend to look for is at the 1.618 on a fifth waves move. We look for price to go ahead and move into a deeper correction move. And what's really exciting is we look for the market to go ahead and chase after the fourth wave low that it created. So go back to the chart right here. Take a look at the chart. And this does correlate with what Chris is talking about right here is, here's the 1.27. This is the fifth wave completion. Now we're looking for price to drop back down to the fourth wave. So for those that like to look for turning points in the market, look to sell Canadian. Be bearish on CAD. All right. As oil dips back down to this level right here, that level's at 74, call it 90, 74.90. So we're looking for oil to drop back down to at least 74.90. So be bearish on CAD all the way south towards that level. When we get to that point, then we'll have to reevaluate and see what's going to happen with oil. Whether oil finds support there, or we're going to continue to move further south. We'll have levels further down south as the market drops back south. But for right now, in the short term, midterm, call it what you want, we're looking for 74.90 to come into play. And then I'm going to go ahead and just jump into a currency pair that I'm looking at. Two of them, but I'll be very quick on that. Then we're going to move to Tyson. And the currency pair that I'm looking at is New Zealand CAD. Looking for a rally on New Zealand CAD. We can see that we've already came up here to test the backside of the trend line right here. I spoke about it inside the trading room. And if you go here into a short-term swing right here, this is why I'm still thinking New Zealand CAD is a rally. Because once again, if we go to the swings, look at this inside on the 1 hour. Wave 1, 2, 3 up here. We had our pullback. Now we're looking for the fifth wave. And so as the New Zealand CAD goes to around about 88.08, and trust me, if you've been in my trading rooms and you've been in my sessions, I've spoken about how many positions I have on a buy on New Zealand CAD. I'm locked and loaded on this right here. So when we go to 88.05, around about that level, it's time to go ahead and cash out, get the heck out of Dodge, and bank your profits. Now, last one is the last pair I want to look at right here. On my end is the the CAD Swiss. Again, a pair that I'm locked and loaded on this one right here as well. But if I go to the CAD Swiss on the daily time frame, look at this, and this is beautiful right here. This is like the cherry on the top for me, because you got, although I don't like cherries, but it is what it is. So if you go ahead and take a look over here, this is a strong resistance right here at the top. Strong resistance. I think once Chris sees this, he might be selling this one as well. We've got strong resistance right here. And if you look at the swings going up, that's always important to me. How much more can the market move up? Well, if I go ahead and drop my swings, take a look right here. We've gone ahead and created a wave 1. We've got it all the way up to the 1.618 right here. Dude, I'm expecting this to fall. If I go to the 4-hour time frame, do I see divergence? And the answer to that is yes, I do. Look at price and momentum are moving against each other, even though it was a little bit of a spike to the upside. There's a lot of bearish movement that we're expecting down south right here. So Canadian Swiss, definitely looking for sell on a Canadian Swiss. So that's something that's going to absolutely be key in the upcoming weeks ahead. Tyson, you got something really interesting on the pound jet.
Couldn't agree more with all of the analysis. Absolutely spot on. I'm looking at the Eurocad right now. We are 19 days since the prior high price. Confirmed fractal high. 19 days. That is the definition of oversold. I mean, crazy oversold. We have a longer term up A that's still intact as long as price doesn't drop below 42.60. Here's the way I'd play it, guys. Because the 19 days, there's been one consistent pattern, and that has been every single high of those 19 days has been rejected and closed below. So if we're able to close above a prior day high, like as an example, today, if today can close above Friday's high, I think that is the first signal that the bulls are starting to say, okay, we're done. All right, you've had enough fun here. So I don't know if we're going to get it today, but we could. If price can close above 43.76 today, rock and roll, man. Up.
Yep.
I actually think, Chris, we're going to get I'm going to look at 47.50 as my target. So here's the trade I like. I like targeting 47.50, getting long on a close above 43.76 and a stop of 42.60. A little bit wider stop, a little bit more risk, but man, I think you got 400 or 500 pips to the upside with maybe 150 pips of risk. I like that trade a lot. And Gary, I like all the trades you were talking about too. A lot. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't just get into this. And so I think we ultimately get up. So my thesis is this: we go to 47.50 before we break below 42.60. That doesn't mean that trading it like Gary, like you and Chris, by looking for that pop higher, taking it off, buying back again lower, looking for a pop higher. But essentially, I would have a strict buy bias as long as price stays above 42.60. I have a strict buy bias all the way up to 47.50 would be. But the way you're talking about it, Gary, absolutely, you're right. We're not going to just blow through that level. We're going to go up there, pair back, go up again, pull back. But yeah, I think we're speaking kind of singing the same tone.
Yeah, I think my mic was muted there, so I just want to say it again because I think you guys could hear me, but they couldn't. What I said early on, I said that watch out for the 1.618 of the downswing. Here it is right here at the 1.618 of the first downswing right here. This is also tested right here by the low of the previous swings. So this at 40, we said 45.80. Sorry, 45.80. 45.80 is going to be a very significant level of resistance. Watch out for the level. And Tyson said absolutely he's going to be watching out for that as well. So good.
Yeah,
Tyson, you spoke about
buy up there, take profits, let it pull back 50, 60 pips, buy again, right up to that next level, and just ride the waves. Do you guys like the idea of riding the waves higher up to the 47.50, maybe a little bit lower, but up into that level?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would love to see. I mean, you're 47.50. I've got pockets drawn on my chart at 47.50 to 4,800. So, I mean, I'd love to get it there. I'm just saying, for me to get a little bit heavier in this week's positioning, I'm gonna respect the past support at 45.50 to 4,600. So, but Tyson, I still have my perfect storm has levels all the way up to like 48 that I'm in, and I've leveled in. So, I mean, my break even is sitting at 44.15 right now. So, for me to take this up to 46, 47, that's amazing. Like, that's great profit for me. Yes.
No, I love it. Right. The one that I want to throw at you guys, because it's super interesting. Now, I was actually very shocked that this was the case. Pound yen. First of all,
hold on, Tyson. Before you get your pound yen, just want to finish off over this one right here. I wanted to show something here quickly because based on your conversation about going higher, take a look over here. This is a big wedge that we broke out to the south side, and if we do break above here and go back to that 47 and we go higher than that, we could go all the way back up to 160 again. So this could be a long-term rally. Keep an eye on this because this could be a false breakout. This could be a bear trap right here that's going to get people buying once you get back above.
I think it will. So, I have not been bullish on the euro for, man, I can't even remember the last time I was actually like fairly. I'm getting pretty kind of medium term, not long term, but medium term bullish on the euro. And this is one of those charts that kind of tells me like, I don't know if it's for sure setting a bottom, but this is kind of how a bottom forms a little bit. So I like it a lot.
Yep.
Cool. Pound yen. So what's interesting, and this shocked me, I didn't even realize this until this morning. So I like where it's sitting. It's starting to break above, but it's actually what's super interesting about the level that's at right now, and it kind of tested it a little bit. The level it's at right now is this is the first time since Brexit that it's actually went into kind of those Brexit highs right before the day of Brexit highs, near those day of Brexit highs. It is only the third pound pair that's done that. The other two, pound Aussie and pound New Zealand, both experienced about 1,000 pip sell off at that same level. So when it tested those highs within the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it actually sold off like 700 to 1,000 pips. The pound New Zealand, I think, sold off like 2,000 pips. So I like everything about this technically. I like the fact that we've established that we've kind of broke into that near that Brexit high, the Brexit day high, and I expect price to start breaking down. Now, conservative way to play this one would be wait for, go into like a 4-hour time frame, and we've got aggressive, really steep trend lines. So wait for a clear break and a close below those trend lines and start to get in. But the way I'm playing this is I actually like the push all the way down. I'm playing this in money flow, and my target, give me a second here. I've got 2 targets. I've got a little bit of a more conservative target that I think we could hit within the next 1 to 2 weeks, and then a little bit of a longer term target that I think if we get the type of responses that we got in the pound Aussie and the pound New Zealand. So my targets on this is, my first target's going to be 52. And again, I think we could see that fairly quick. I think that 52 level we could see fairly quick, kind of getting back to that level of resistance, kind of that battle zone that I call there. And then ultimately, I actually think there's nice demand, some pockets, and a 382 retracement on this large up AB right around 43.80. So I want to have it right here. So my trade that I have structured, that I called out in money flow, is this exact trade. I want to look to sell on a break below today's low, which is 56.60. So I'm not in yet. In this trade, I'm actually technically in a couple other trades, but in the trade that I called out in money flows, I want to break below 56.60. First target is 52. Second target is 43.80. Now, again, I'm not going to just hold all the way down there. I'll kind of manage it. And then my stop, it's a little bit wider stop, but my stop is going to be 60.70. If we don't break above 60.70, what I'm saying is this. I am very confident we go down to at least 52 before price goes up to 60.70. And I'm going to have a bearish bias all the way until that happens. So every day, all I do is ask myself, have we broke below, or are we at 152? If the answer is no, I then ask, are we above 160.70? If the answer is no, I continue to have a bearish bias. So I really like this technically, and I love the fact that we're now sitting at or near that Brexit day high.
Okay.
That's the trade.
I agree
I
on the
want
sell.
to throw in there one more thing. I'm seeing indicators and bar counts that I have never seen on some of those yen crosses, by the way.
Yep.
So I'm throwing that out there. It's pretty nuts.
Yep.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Hey, Tyson, I agree with the sell-off. I definitely agree with the sell-off. I am cautious at a level of around about 154, though. I know you got 152 as the target.
I can't say, like, when I throw out a target, guys, and that's what Gary's mentioned is so important. I'm not going to tell you that, if I get short at 56.80 and we go down to 54 and I've got 280 pips worth of profit in, and I see exactly why Gary's saying that. We've got that level, kind of that level that we broke out of, right around that 53, 54 level. So I totally understand what you're saying. I'm not going to just let those profits evaporate. What I'll probably do is, oftentimes that's when we create those head and shoulders or those reversal patterns. We come down, we'll then bounce. If I start to see a little bit of strength around that 54, I'll get out of the trade, lock in profits, and I'll wait for price to retrace back up and then get back in.
Yeah, because I do see 53 over here. Do you see 53 as the market comes back? But looking at this big range that we're in, man, we hold up at these levels right here, and price doesn't break above that Brexit highs, or since the Brexit highs, we could go all the way back down here to 125 again. It all comes down to what happens with the dollar. How are the safe havens being adopted based on that? And do we see some movement inside JPY and Swiss franc as well?
So I will say this, and this will kind of bottom line it, because I think what you're talking about is so important, guys. What I cannot do is I cannot have price flush down to 153, come within 100 pips of my target, and then somehow lose money on this trade.
Right.
So what I have to do is I have to be able to lock in some profits. And even if price rallies back in, let's say it goes down to 153, I lock in those profits, it comes back up to 155 and I sell again. Well, now we've established kind of a new top, right? I don't need my stop all the way at 60-70. I can move my stop now down to where that most recent U-turn is. So what I'm saying is, don't give back. You have 200-300 pips worth of profits. There's no reason why this wouldn't be a nice trade. So yes, I think we're all kind of saying the same thing. We're pretty confident we're going to see another 200-300 pips down before the next 200-300 pips up.
Agree.
Perfect. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's go ahead and shift over to cryptos, because I think there's a lot of conversation around cryptos that we need to have a conversation on. Unless you guys got something still to say about currencies, but cryptos are huge right now. And I know there's a lot of the conversation going around about Bitcoin. Where's Bitcoin going to go to? So we're going to go take a look at Bitcoin, take a look at the dominance chart, Bitcoin dominance. We're going to take a look at some altcoins and see what the opportunity is. So once again, remind everyone, if you haven't gone ahead and subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that. But also go ahead and smash the like button. That helps us get this video across the world wide web, the world wide web. www, man. All right, and that's not wrestling. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look and see what's going on. Sorry, it's Monday, man. Let's go take a look and see what's going on with Bitcoin. And I need Tyson, Chris, give me your views on what's going on here, because this is what I'm seeing from a charting perspective, right? So if I look at Bitcoin, and again, I love looking. I know it's cryptos, but cryptos work just the same as any other chart, you know, when it comes to trading technical analysis. And so if I look at Bitcoin right here, we did have that wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and now the market went ahead and extended itself all the way up to the 1.618. Now this was important because we spoke about it last week. Me and Chris actually spoke about it last week. And I mentioned last week we were struggling to break out of 57,000. And I said that, hey, listen here, if we struggle to break out of 57,000, we're going to come back down and we're going to go ahead and move bearish on the on Bitcoin. But just in the short time, in the short period, as we start chasing after possibly 42,000 again. But I said because of the strength that we're having in Bitcoin, there's a possibility that 62,000 is going to come to play. And if it does, that means we are still going to see Bitcoin go up higher. So if you're questioning and wondering whether or not Bitcoin is going to go higher, the answer to that is yes. But the question here is, how far is it going to go higher? Well, we're at that 62,000. So which means that we're going to see a correction. So don't be surprised if you start seeing Bitcoin start to slow down and move into a correction. I don't believe we're going to see Bitcoin trade lower than this high right here, which is around about 54,000. So 54,000 is going to be certainly going to be a level of support for it. So it's going to hover currently right now between 62,000 and 54,000, which means buying opportunity when you talk about cryptos, right? Sorry, altcoins. When you talk about altcoins, buying opportunity, because when we start seeing a slowdown in the dominance, Bitcoin dominance, which means that Bitcoin dominance has been rallying, and now we're going to see Bitcoin correcting itself, this is where it becomes alt season. Because now we're going to start seeing the altcoins starting to catch up to what we're seeing now in Bitcoin, the rallies that we've seen in Bitcoin. So if we go to the chart right here, here is the cryptos that we need to pay attention to. Top 25, that's what I pay attention to. Sometimes we go ahead and trade some of the coins that have just come in the market that are outside the top 25. That's when you want to make a quick run for your money. But the thing here is, if you look at the top 25, those are the ones that I want to focus on right here. And if you look at the last 7 days, take a look at the last 7 days. Let me go ahead and refresh this just to make sure. The last 7 days, which coin has gone ahead and lost most value over the last 7 days? Because those are the ones that you need to pay attention to. Now I'm going to go ahead and talk about Terra, which is Luna. Luna is one of them that I spoke about last week to go ahead and start trading Luna. And I also spoke about Avalanche. Avalanche has actually gained a little bit since we last spoke, but it has gained. But so that one's gone and gained. So it looks like it's Luna's the only one right here that is down 8.8% in the top 25. Let's take a look at anything else. Everything else has already started to move. Take a look here, 15% on Stellar. We've got 20% on Polygon. So we've got definitely some good movement out of some of the altcoins. But the worst performers right now, look at Filecoin. This is something that's also really good. Filecoin's down 10%. So Filecoin's outside the top 25. It's just outside the top 25, but that's something to also take a look at. Filecoin, and then of course we said Luna. Luna's 8%. So I think Filecoin is probably the best right here. It is outside the top 25, but it is one that you might want to go ahead and take a look at. Now, once you've looked at this, now Chris does this is what I do. Once I've looked at that, then I go ahead and take a look at the chart, right? I go to the chart, look for Filecoin. Filecoin right here. Let me see if I've got it set up here. I thought I had it here. Go ahead and type it up here. I go ahead and look and see where is Filecoin traded at the moment based on swing action. And so if I go to the Filecoin chart right here, and I go ahead and pull it up, I look at the last bit of movement because we're always going to see these big jumps. So if you go over here, you're always going to see these big pumps in the market right here. Big pumps, and then you're going to see pullback. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to where it's currently trading right now. And I'm going to look at this last move right here. This one right here. This is the 4-hour time frame. Now, this is what's so beautiful about technical analysis, right? Take a look right here. Take a look how price went ahead and created this wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and what happened? It pulled back after the 5th wave right here. So we had a 5th wave pullback. This is where price is going to chase after right here. So anywhere below here, this is a buy area. This is where you start using that cost averaging approach in your trading. So Filecoin right now is traded around about $62 right now. 62. So where are we expecting Filecoin to go to? Well, let's go take a look. We go to Filecoin and we go ahead and put our fibs in on this from the low to the high right here. We're expecting Filecoin at least to go to this level, which is around about 100. So that means you're buying in at 62. You've got about a 40% growth, maybe a little bit more than that. Let's take a look here, a little bit more. Yeah, 61%, call it 62%. We've got a 62% growth opportunity on Filecoin. You want to look for opportunities? Look for these type of setups, all right? Use a cost averaging approach, which means, and I love trading this, I know Chris does too, and Tyson has the same sort of approach, but this is a cost averaging right here. So cost averaging on Filecoin, looking for a 60% opportunity. But this is the thing. When you get to this point, just on Tyson's point early on, take profits. You're going to see another dip. You're going to see another rally. Go ahead and put in. Now, if you think the market's going to rally more, then when the market comes up to the 618 right here, take some profit off the table, leave some in, because we know how volatile the altcoins can be. Leave some in case we get that big pump again. But you want to go ahead and take some off. Any sort of pullback, retest this previous high, get back in over here, look for that final pump. And again, take some off the table and keep investing in that. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that when you start taking profit on these altcoins, all right, you start investing it back into Bitcoin, back into the Ethereum, because those are the coins that are going to be here for a long time. And traders are going to start building up their portfolio on Ethereum as well as on Bitcoin. So that's giving you the general idea of what's going on right now with the Bitcoin and the dominance chart. I think I said I was going to look at that as well. Look at the dominance chart right here. If we go look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, you can see why we've seen some rally in Bitcoin, but the altcoins haven't followed as strong as what we've seen in Bitcoin. Is because there's a lot of dominance right now. There's a lot of adoption in Bitcoin itself right now that's pushing Bitcoin up higher. So altcoins are going to follow. But we're going to start seeing some pullback in the dominance chart. If we get some pullback in the dominance chart, then that's going to mean correction in Bitcoin. But altcoins are going to go ahead and start having their season. So, Tyson, Chris, add to that.
Yeah, I'm going to. So, what's interesting right now is Bitcoin. The last time it reached this peak at like 64,000, that peak, it's been 188 days since that peak. Here's what's really interesting. I went back and I looked at every peak that it's put in, all-time high peak, that then has taken at least 30 days to come back to, right? So puts in a peak in at least 30 days. It's happened 3 times. One time it took about 34 days. The other time it took like almost 200 days. And then another time it took like 250 days, right? So this is 188 days. Every single time, 90 days after it broke that high, it was up minimum 50% higher, all the way up to 200% higher. I'm going to say this. I'm going to go out on a limb. End of January, $120,000 Bitcoin by the end of January.
Interesting.
Hold on. What happened to 20,000 Bitcoin?
$120,000 a coin Bitcoin. Just do the. I mean, why? Because it's supply and demand. Gary, we are about ready to have a $1 trillion market introduced into Bitcoin, and futures prices are going to explode, and spot prices are going to follow.
Yep.
Yes.
Because of the ETF that's coming on. We have massive retailers that now they had no clue how to buy Bitcoin. And not only that, but I think they're going to be able to buy Bitcoin on derivatives with options. This thing could go crazy nuts. I'm talking about. So, and just based upon, again, I'm looking at all the reasons like, oh man, it's a double top. We're going to get bearish every single time it's put in this double top. Like you look at it, it bases for about a week or two at those tops, and then it just explodes higher. It's happened 3 times. And again, the last time was a 50% move. The other 2 times before that were 200+% moves. So I think we're going to see a double. I think I'm going to go out on a limb and say 120,000 by November, and I think a lot of it's going to be based upon euphoria. And a lot of it's going to be based. It's going to spit in the face of technicals. It's going to be euphoria. It's going to be a massive capitulation. And here's what's going to happen. It's going to drive mining costs up to about 50,000, and then we're going to crash down to 50,000 and hit mining costs.
Yeah, I was going to ask, I mean, going up to 120, is it still vulnerable to like that 60, 80+% correction? It sounds like absolutely.
I think it would be, but at that time, I think what happens is, and here's the reasons why, because, and I haven't made this adjustment, but like 80% of the miners are now mining out of the US rather than in China. And that's a big deal because the US has substantially higher energy costs than they do over in the Asian countries. So what the mining costs are probably about 30% higher than what they would be mining in China. So what I think is going to happen. So my thesis is this: we get this massive euphoric blow off top over the next 3 months. It's going to remind me of 2017. You guys remember the Christmas party 2017? Everybody is on a high because Bitcoin's going absolutely nuts. I think the same thing's going to happen November, December, January of this year. Which is great for our cryptocurrency series, by the way. And we're going to have this euphoric rise. We're going to put it at top, and then we're going to see another 60% crash. And I think it could happen, 50, 60% crash. And I think it could happen there. I think we see 120 mining costs probably tick up to 45, 50, 55,000. We come back down into those mining costs. But I guess bottom line is this, and I think at the same time, Gary, this is where you're going to get excited. When Bitcoin doubles, I think altcoins are going to triple or quadruple. So I think we're going to see the same movement. I'll give you an example. In Algorand, we'll go from $1.70 to maybe $5 at the same time that a Bitcoin goes from 63 to 120.
Yeah. Look, I've always said it, and I'm going to say it again. Yeah, I've always said it, and I'm going to say it again. You know, and I actually spoke to a couple of investors this weekend as we were playing some golf at my golf club. And we're speaking about investing in cryptos and so on, and what we can get. And people are like, oh, should I get into Bitcoin? I'm like, absolutely, yeah, sure. But if you're looking at a bigger return, you're looking at a higher return, look for the altcoins because they give you so much more upside potential than the Bitcoin does. I'm not saying not get into Bitcoin. I'm just saying use altcoins to be able to build up your portfolio quicker, but then move money into Ethereum, Bitcoin, because of the fact that the rate of returns are going to be a lot bigger on the altcoins than you are going to be on Bitcoin. I mean, think about it. Just like you said right now, if you go from 60,000 to 120,000, that's 100% return. We've made on Shiba Inu in just one day 100% in one day. So the probabilities of making more money on altcoins is so much far greater. But never take money away from Bitcoin and Ethereum. Keep building up that portfolio.
And you know what? I had a huge lesson from my son. He texted me a couple months ago. He said, hey, Dad, I think he bought like $1,500 worth of Shiba Inu. And I'm like, dumb. Why are you doing that? What are you doing? He's like, I don't know. I bought it anyway. It is what it is. I'm just going to let it sit. I said, all right, just keep, hey, maybe I was completely wrong. I mean, those crazy, ridiculous, do nothing coins like that. I'll put that in the same category as Doge. Listen, they have their days. This whole what's happening is we're getting this social movement and these people. There's groups that are just moving the markets and huge, and it's really, and it's kind of becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's kind of fun to watch. I'm missing out on a lot of it. I didn't catch any of Doge. I didn't catch any Shiba Inu, but that's okay. But there is massive money to be made. Now I want to talk about real fast, and this is super interesting. So. Chris, you know that I'm not a fan of ETFs that are based upon derivatives, futures that have to go out and buy futures contracts.
Right.
Mainly because there's something called, and I'm not going to go into a ton of details of it, but there's something called backwardation and contango. And when that happens, the ETF is forced to go out and buy futures contracts, which are always 90% of the time priced higher than today's spot value. As an example, in Bitcoin, the December contract's trading for almost 64,000, whereas spot is 62,000. So it's got a 2,000, which makes sense because the market has a tendency to to bid higher, that, hey, we don't know what's going to happen, tomorrow. But here's what's interesting about the Bitcoin futures. And I think this is going to be the case for like the next 5 to 10 years. I think spot, what normally happens is the futures contract sells off down to the spot price. So in S&P 500s, you make more money by buying the S&P 500 spot and selling the futures. That's actually a very profitable strategy, because most of the time you have that futures contract sell off down to the spot. In Bitcoin, because it's truly ran by supply and demand, and because we're still in early innings, I actually think spot is going to play this catch up to futures every single month. And I think that's going to happen for the next 3 to 5 years. What that means, guys, is this ETF is going to have like an extra rocket booster on the back of it. The returns of this thing is going to be astronomical. If what I just said holds true, which I think it's going to, the returns could be double or triple spot Bitcoin in this ETF that's launching.
What is the how can people do some research on this ETF? I saw it was in Morning Brew and Robinhood. Like, when's the time? What's the timetable? Okay.
Yeah, it launches tomorrow. I don't know a ton about it, but I do know that it's derived from the futures contracts. What they typically do is they go, so the first of the month they'll have 100% of their position. So November 1st they'll have 100% of their position in December contracts. And then every single day they'll roll a certain portion from December to January, every single day. And they'll constantly, so by the time the month ends, they're all in January contracts. And the reason why, so you look at ETFs such as like the VXX, volatility index and stuff like that, the reason why it underperforms is because there's a cost to roll, right? You're typically always buying something that's higher than the current price, and you're losing value every day unless you get that big move. Now, Bitcoin's going to be different because of the volatility that's in Bitcoin, and because it's got a natural, just based upon the mining, honestly, Bitcoin should have like a 3%, 4% monthly appreciation just based upon the amount of supply that's taken out of the market every single month, just based upon the mining.
Right.
Like, think about that. For the next 100 years, guys, we're talking about a 3 to 4% appreciation just based upon supply and demand. That doesn't even include any speculation or anything like that with it, Bitcoin's still the greatest investment of all time. From my standpoint, I think it's going to be one of the best investments that we'll ever see in our life. But I think this ETF for the next few years could be even better because of the way it's structured. And that's really backwards, because that's not the case for 98% of all the other ETFs that are based upon the futures.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've got a link here. That I'll go ahead and share that says Bitcoin ETFs explained, and that might go ahead, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to send it over to Chris, and then Chris, if you can go ahead and just send that over to the guys in the chat there, that'll be great. Sure. And let me go ahead and
what'll be really cool while you're doing that, Gary, though, is if they offer options, Chris, oh man, we're gonna have a heyday.
I know, that'll be pretty exciting.
Yeah.
If we got, I mean, look at what we've done for MARA. I mean, just having something that pays like decent premium, it'd be incredible. Yeah. All right, Gary, I'm looking
the premium should be absolutely off the charts,
right,
on this ETF.
Yep. All right, good stuff. All right, guys. Well, a lot of exciting things happening this week, especially the ETFs that launches tomorrow. We're gonna go ahead and take a look and see how the Bitcoin moves since it has gone ahead and dipped a little bit in the beginning of the Sunday's trading, dipped a little bit, but we have returned back up to that 60. What is it trading at the moment right now? We're trading back above 62. So it's trading back above 62 at the moment right now. So we'll see what Bitcoin does at those levels, but it's going to be exciting. Bitcoin, well, these cryptos definitely. There's a lot of opportunity in cryptos. We spoke about a couple of things in cryptos, stocks. Tyson just spoke about a great opportunity on the stock right now to go ahead and focusing on currencies. Great retracement moves on most of the currency pairs that specifically focusing on dollar. There's definitely going to be a downside moving dollar, so we're expecting some rally in the pairs traded against the dollar. And then we're also looking at oil looking to dip as well, and looking for some rally in the coins. In the currencies that are traded against the Canadian dollar as well. So a lot of opportunity this week, traders. Great conversation, Tyson, Chris.
Yeah, real fast. Can I hit on Helen? That's a great point. 100% right, Helen. I'm not going to act like I've been like, oh, you got to buy. I have not been a Super Bowl on. I've been a Super Bowl. We're going to 1 to 1.5 million by 2032. Never come off of that standpoint. I've been saying that since late 2016. However, you're 100% right. Helen, I was super conservative on the pump higher. I thought we were going to go back down to about 20 to 25. We went down to 30, didn't get quite down there. I did start to add back. That's the reason why we launched our cryptocurrency series number 3, is because of some of the things that were happening with China. Because I had been so conservative, and I was actually, and I'm going to give credit to Gary and Chris, I was actually like looking at the charts and looking at a lot of these correlations and said, man, now is the time. There's so much happening. That's why we decided to launch the number 3, is because it was like, okay, it's time to come off the sidelines and be aggressive. So, but you're right, Helen, 100%. I had been too conservative. But here's the deal. That's why I say with Gary all the time, it's like, don't be too conservative, because if we go to 1.5 million by 2032, who cares about these little $5,000 blips up and down?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So anyway, but thank you for pointing that out, Helen. You are correct. But now I'm in. Let's rock and roll.
Tyson's all in. Tyson's all in.
I'm not all
catching
in.
up. He sold his house up north, and he's put all of that into crypto. So he's all in.
Yeah.
All right. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us again. It's been a great session again, Tyson and Chris. We always have a great time talking about these different market opportunities. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the session. Once again, subscribe to the channel, smash the like button, and we'll see everyone back again the same time, same place next week as we go ahead and talk about great opportunities heading out for that following week. So let's go ahead and talk about that next week. But enjoy this week. Have a great week. We'll see you next time. Thank you.